Hey guys, so today we are here for Module 7. Big things we're doing today. Quick review of these changes to the AP test that we talked about on Monday after school and that we'll be talking about on Wednesday after school today. Quick review of the big things in period 6. And then we're going to be practicing a DBQ/LEQ question. And this is prepping you for writing a DBQ next week. It's a 5-document DBQ where you have to use 4 out of the 5 documents. And all of that was covered in the meeting that we had on Monday or the meeting we're having today. All that is also covered in this new DBQ rubric. So in this Do Now, all you do, guys, is look at that rubric and you are answering these questions here. All right, I'm not going to go over these questions because they're all in the rubric. Okay, so let's go down below the Do Now. You should be able to finish that on your own. And we are going to look at the direct instruction for today. Okay, so for today, guys, we are going to be looking at prompts and acting like, hey, how can I write this thing in 45 minutes? And one of the big keys to writing a DBQ in 45 minutes is not getting too wrapped up in what's in the documents. It's all about what is the prompt saying and how can you prove it using documents. So the same thing we've done all year with a DBQ, you always got to do the thesis first. You got to think about what's going on in all of the documents using that prompt. You got to know a lot about the time period. You cannot answer a DBQ just by reading the documents and trying to figure it out. You have to know about the time period and then support your argument. So that's what we're doing here. We're practicing knowing about the time period and supporting our argument. When we get one of these 6 prompts next week, you're not going to go in and read all the documents. You're going to go in and say, oh yeah, I remember. I already wrote a thesis. I already know what my big ideas are going to be, and now I can support it using documents. So I'm going to model this one for us. This is the first prompt that is coming from this period. And I want us to notice, guys, I'm doing this one because this prompt actually goes into period 7 as well. All right, it goes from 1890 to 1925. Remember, period 6 ends in 1898. But I'm doing this one just so you guys get a sense. The DBQ question on the test on May 15th is not going to be in period 7. But we have to kind of have a sense of what might be going on in period 7 just in case it maybe is in period 6 and it kind of squeezes onto period 7. And you guys have the resources to do this because you guys have a unit 6 SFI sheet, and that is period 7. This SFI sheet covers 1890 to 1900 to 1945. You guys also have a unit 5 PTLO sheet, SFI sheet, that covers 1865 to 1898. And then from Monday, you have your 1-pager, your period 6 1-pager that has all the important stuff. So when the test day comes and you look at the prompts, immediately you should be getting out your SFI sheet for the period, and you should be getting out your 1-pager for the period, and you're going to be using those to answer these questions. And so that's what we're doing here. We look at the prompt. To what extent did economic and political developments, as well as assumptions about the nature of women, affect the position of women during the period of 1890 to 1925? So we're writing a thesis that's prepping us for using documents to answer the question. So my thesis for this question, when I look at it, I'm like, oh man, things about women changed a lot. Okay, so I'm going to be saying economic and political developments and assumptions about women changed dramatically and it looks like affect the position of American women. Okay, so this is a weird sentence. To what extent did these things affect the position of American women? So what I'm basically saying is economic and political developments and assumptions about women dramatically changed the position of women during this period. Now, this is not a thesis yet. Remember, a thesis has to be a little bit more in depth than this. We can't just say things changed. We have to say why they changed. And so when I'm looking, and I looked back at the PTLO sheets, I looked at my one-pager, and the thesis that I came up with was women's roles changed from the protectors of values, and I'm going to actually say, let's say this, American values, and helping people hurt by industrialization to, so we're saying it changed from this to being full human beings in themselves and asking for equality. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, I'm actually going to get into this in my two topic sentences. Okay? My first topic sentence, guys, is going to be addressing the first part of how things changed from this to this, right? How did their position change? To what extent did it change? And so I'm saying things changed a lot, so I have to say they started from here and they changed to here. So I'm just going to say here in the beginning, and rather than in the beginning, let's use a date. Near 1890, oh man, I'm grabbing that right out of the prompt. Near 1890, women were working in the West, and I got this straight off of my SFI sheet, and gaining the right to vote there. They were also working in cities in social work and in ending the drinking of alcohol. And this is called temperance. They were the conscience. Ooh, can I spell conscience? Probably not. Of, and don't worry, on the, consciousness. I like that. Consciousness of the U.S. But they didn't have much in the way of rights or power. Okay, now what I would do in a DBQ is I would have some documents to back this up. Okay, I made this statement. I would have some documents to back this up. And I guarantee you, you would have some documents near 1890 to prove this. Women working in cities because of the bad things happening in industrialization, women working to end the abuse of alcohol, women trying to get the right to vote but not quite getting it. They're getting the right to vote in like Colorado, Wyoming, all these western states, but not in the eastern states, and definitely not in the South. Now, then I'm saying, what did it change to? By 1925, women were asserting themselves as flappers and even trying to pass the Equal Rights Amendment to get full rights as citizens. They already had the right to vote through the 19th Amendment. And We're also using technology through birth control to have control over their lives. Okay, so what I did is I was using my one pager. I used my SFI sheet and I used my other SFI sheet. You guys aren't going to need this SFI sheet, this Unit 6 SFI sheet. You won't need this for the other prompts. The other prompts don't go into the 20th century. So you're just going to need these two. Okay. I did those things and I finished there. Okay. That's what you're doing. Notice, guys, I have 6 here. I'm saying you need a minimum of 5 SFIs in your topic sentences. So you need a clear thesis answers the entire prompt. You need 5 SFIs to answer your topic sentences. So you're going to do the same thing. You're going to do it 5 times. Get started now. Go. If you have any questions, throw them in the chat.